a beloved American president, a historic masterpiece, and a shocking twist all come together at this esteemed home. As the state capital of Illinois, the city of Springfield holds deep ties to America's political past. One landmark building reflects that history best, the Illinois Executive Mansion.
The governor's mansion is really a jewel in Illinois' architectural history. It's one of the oldest and largest historic homes in the entire state.
This brick Italianate mansion has been the state governor's official residence since 1855. Today, it largely serves as a historic site. Occupying 1 square city block, the estate's majestic character is amplified by its lush surroundings.
The exterior of the building has a beautiful, enormous fountain which is surrounded by flowers, and it's all been exquisitely manicured.
Inside, a stunning elliptical staircase connects the mansion's 16 rooms.
There's a walnut library, an enormous state dining room, a parlor and sitting rooms.
Scattered throughout these hallowed halls are the belongings of Illinois' most renowned resident, Abraham Lincoln.
A really unique work of art in the home is the bust of Abraham Lincoln. This bust was actually done from life.
But one celebrated piece of art within this collection has a dark secret, only recently revealed.
The actual story behind this painting will shock you completely.
Edward Milch is the owner of one of the art world's most prestigious galleries, and he's always in search of rare treasures to increase the profile of his business. One day, he receives a visit from a celebrity, vaudeville actor Lou Bloom.
Bloom was a major influence on Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. He was really quite famous in the early 1900s all the way up through the 1920s, but he also was an art collector.
The two men have previously done business together. This time, Bloom claims to have a never-before-seen item for sale.
It's a portrait of Mary Lincoln, and on her dress, she's wearing a brooch of Abraham Lincoln. But the most important part of this picture, the lower right-hand corner, was dated 1864.
It seems this is the only painting of the former First Lady created while she was still alive.
There was no record that Mary Lincoln, during her lifetime, ever sat for a portrait. Edward Milch must have been overjoyed. When you have a find like this, it really becomes a moment in the history of art.
According to Bloom, the painting was quietly commissioned by Mrs. Lincoln herself.
He said she wanted to keep this all a secret from Abraham so she could honor him and present him with this painting at a simple party.
But her plan was cut short on April 14th, 1865.
Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, and then Mrs. Lincoln didn't want the painting, so she gave it back to the artist.
Bloom claims that the piece changed hands a few times before he obtained it in 1884. Then he produces proof of the tale.
There was an affidavit which survived on the back of the picture. It lent credibility to the history of the painting.
Milch is thrilled. Spying an opportunity for widespread publicity, he eagerly agrees to help Bloom sell the piece.
He approached the New York Times, and a feature story appeared on Lincoln's birthday, February 12, 1929. The article was titled, "Never Before Seen Portrait of Mrs. Lincoln." That paper would have been read by thousands of people.
The publication causes a huge stir in the art world, and soon enough, Lincoln's descendants express interest in the piece.
It was Mary Lincoln's granddaughter who bought the painting. She probably felt it was her duty to the family to acquire this picture, and it certainly sold for many thousands of dollars.
The celebrated work of art stays in the Lincoln family for the next 47 years. Then they decide it should be shared with the public.
From 1976, it went on view in the governor's mansion as the only portrait of Mary Lincoln from life.
For decades, it is regarded as one of the most exciting historical finds in American art history. But in 2010, everything changes. Chicago-based conservator Barry Bauman is hired to restore the aging portrait back to its original state. Soon after, he makes a startling discovery.
It sent off bells and whistles that something was wrong.
It's 2010 in Chicago, and conservator Barry Bauman is restoring the only known painting of Mary Lincoln created during her lifetime. But as he is working, he makes a staggering find. The painting is not what it seems.
I could see that the brooch that Mary Lincoln was wearing was actually sitting on the varnish. It was not in the paint layer. That immediately told me that it's not original to the painting. And the same was true for the signature and date. It was sitting on top of the varnish. It also was a later addition.
As he continues to clean the canvas, he uncovers the biggest conundrum yet.
But when I removed all of the restoration paint, the face looked completely different. It really looked nothing like Mary Lincoln.
Bauman is floored by the implication of his discovery.
I knew then and there the painting was a forgery.
But how could this Lincoln family treasure be a fake? Bauman digs into the painting's past and comes to believe it was a hoax masterminded by the very man who brought the piece to light, Lou Bloom. He speculates that Bloom's fading career and the flagging economy may have left the actor on hard times.
The year was 1929, just a few months before the crash. He might have needed the money.
An amateur artist, it seems he altered the piece himself.
He dabbled in oil painting, so what Bloom did was to take an anonymous portrait of a lady, and he repainted it to make it look like Mary Lincoln.
Knowing that the Lincolns weren't alive to dispute him, Bloom created the story of the painting's commission and backed it up with a fake affidavit. Then he presented it to an unsuspecting Milch.
This was a complete scam from beginning to end, a total fraud on the history of art and the American public.
Today, this audacious forgery is still kept in the archives of the Lincoln Presidential Library. Though it no longer hangs in the Illinois Executive Mansion, this home stands as a reminder that some things are too good to be true.